Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we'll talk about all things Disney, but we're Epcot-centered.
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in our rankings and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when the idea of worldwide parks was just a dream.
This is episode 66, the top 7 Disney attractions worldwide.
Or, you can't compare apples to oranges, so let's compare pirates to pirates.
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian adventure. Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 66 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And today's topic is going to be another rankings episode, and we're going to look at the top 7 Disney attractions worldwide. Now, we need to preface this. We have not been to all of the parks yet. We have been to, of course, Disneyland and Disney World, because, as I've said many times, I worked at both of those, and Sue worked at Disneyland and California Adventure, but we have been to Paris. Yes. And we have been to Tokyo.
Yes.
And we have friends that worked on attractions in Shanghai. And we have friends that have been to Hong Kong.
So yeah, we are going to not count all of the China parks. So no Shanghai, no Hong Kong. We're only counting the parks that we've been to. And we are only counting... Well, you know what? We didn't actually discuss this. On my list, we haven't compared lists again, as we like to do. But on my list, only counted one named ride. So if I picked a Space Mountain, I didn't pick 3 Space Mountains. You know what I mean? I could tell by the look on your face.
But...
And I know which one you doubled, so that's fair.
Since I don't have this information going into this, we might have some problems with that rule.
It wasn't a rule that we said up front. It was just something that I kind of assumed.
Right.
But I have assumed wrong, so...
More of a guideline than a rule.
And some are worthy of mentioning twice, so I totally get that. And as we have said in the past, we just did an episode, what number was that, Rod? Where we talked about comparing the same named rides.
Oh, yeah, episode 59 was Don't Judge a Ride by Its Name. And we did cover a lot of these attractions that we do love, but the variations of them that are around the world.
Right. So, given that, I actually should have assumed that you could use the same one twice, because they are different rides. That's the whole point. So,
well, if that's where we're going, you need to redo your list.
No, I've reread mine several times. Ranking lists is hard for me, as everybody knows.
Yeah, mine took about 5 minutes.
I am actually pretty pleased with my list. And I do have 4 honorable mentions.
I have 2, but we could have done the top 10, actually.
When I first made my list, it was the top 19. So
it doesn't even surprise me.
This is actually pretty good. But see, here's the thing about doing a list like this. Like, how do you rank? I mentioned, like, apples to oranges in the opening. And, like, how do you rank something that you go on frequently? Like, rides that you have not been to this park until you go on this ride. You know, how do you compare that to something that you've only been on once or twice, but left a huge impact on you? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So coming up with a list like this was actually quite challenging in that respect, because I have my standard favorites that I have to do every time I go to Disney World. I have my standard favorites I have to do every time I go to Disneyland. But then I have the ones that we've only been to in the international parks a couple of times, and it's like, where do those fit? But I managed to come up with a list of 7, and I'm going to stick with it.
Great. I'm actually changing mine right now.
I can tell by the look on your face.
Because I know how better to do all this now. And that's... you know what? We're going to follow your rule and only have 1 per.
You need a pen?
I already got it. I already know where it's going. I just need to read it out of my head rather than off this paper in front of me. But I know what I'm going to do. So
all right.
Here we go.
And if you mess it up, you can edit it in post.
That is true. Editing is your friend. So the parks we're talking about now are in California, Disneyland Park, Disney's California Adventure, in Florida, the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Disney's Hollywood Studios, Disney's Animal Kingdom, in Paris, Disneyland Park, Walt Disney Studios, or soon to be known as Adventure World, and in Tokyo, Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea. We are not talking about Hong Kong Disneyland or Shanghai Disneyland. So those are the only two parks that we're not going to be mentioning today.
Which
directly.
have some killer attractions
yeah.
that we really can't wait to do. But since we haven't done them yet, they're not on our list.
Yeah. All right, so again, we haven't looked at these back and forth. We don't know what we're about to say.
There will be some overlay.
Yeah, again, we're brother and sister, so definitely there's going to be some overlap. But let's start with number 7. Sue, what is your number 7 top worldwide Disney attraction?
My number 7 is Radiator Springs Racers at Disney's California Adventures.
Good choice.
It's one of those wild cards. I haven't ridden it that many times because we don't get out to California as often as we get to Florida. But the theming is fantastic based on the Cars films. Of course, Radiator Springs from Cars Land. I will never ever forgive the Imagineers for that.
Cars Land.
Radiator
Route
Springs.
66.
Route 66.
Anything
Come on,
else.
people.
Cars Land. Oh. Anyway, beyond
But
that.
the theming is phenomenal. The ride vehicles are adorable. The entire ride is built and structured so well. Like, the storytelling of just that ride is so good. It's fun. You laugh, you giggle, you go fast, you go slow. It's a good time all around.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with that ride, it's based on the same type of ride system as Test Track at Epcot. Except this time you're racing side by side in cars, which is kind of disturbing if you think about it. Did they actually pull the guts out of these living vehicles and you ride in them now? I mean,
well,
that
I
seems
think
a
that's how
little
it's always been. They just didn't
cruel.
talk about it.
Yeah. Anyway, you race through Radiator Springs, through caverns, and through towns, and you actually do race. There's a winner every time, and it is just an absolutely fun, adorable attraction.
And it's unique. It is unique to Disney's California Adventure.
That's true. Yeah, there is only one Radiator Springs Racers out there.
Which it gets points for that.
Well,
What is your number 7?
Mine is headed back the other direction over the Pacific to Tokyo Disney Seas, and my number 7 is Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Oh, such a good one.
Now, if we're talking ride system, this is kind of like Indiana Jones or Dinosaur at Animal Kingdom, which is soon to become Indiana Jones. However, you are going through a cavern where you inadvertently bump into a very angry...
You want to stay away from that guy. He's grouchy.
under the earth monster. I don't even know what to call him. He's not a dragon. He's not a sea slug.
He probably has a name in the book.
A dragon slug. I don't know. He probably does. You're
yeah.
right. But it's just a captivating attraction from the queue all the way through to the ride vehicles to the actual blasting out of the earth, basically, to safety. It is one of the most unusual attractions I've ever ridden, and I just loved the time we got to ride, or the times we've gotten to ride it in Tokyo. It's definitely my number 7 worldwide, but it was a hard one because of being the last one in the list. It was replaced 15 times.
Same.
So I settled on this one because it is unique to Tokyo Disney Sea, and it is unique to anything Disney, in my opinion. There's nothing even close to this anywhere in another Disney park.
That's a great choice. That is such a good ride. And I'm glad it's on yours because it didn't make my list.
So
I'm very glad that it's on your list.
Let's find out what your number 6 is then.
My number 6 hurts my heart just a little bit that it's this far down the list. But when you're starting to look at different things all over the world and different reasons why you love different attractions, this is just where it fell. My number 6 is Living with the Land at Epcot.
Heathen! Infidel!
I love...
I'm going to have to take away your Epcot card. Your Epcotian card is... I'm sorry. Okay, give me I'm going to hole punch it. You have 2 more strikes.
Oh my goodness. I know. Like I said, it hurts my heart.
But, okay. All right, explain.
Well, I absolutely love this attraction. This is one of those that I was talking about in the how do you rank something that you have to do every time. But when you start comparing, like, what is the comfort factor versus what is the thrill factor versus what is the unique factor, like, it hits all the marks in that it had to be on my list.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It is my favorite attraction at Epcot, and Epcot is my favorite park. Therefore, it should be number 1 on my list, but it's not. So... there's just some other ones that just inched it out of there. So, but I absolutely adore Living with the Land. It is a slow-moving boat ride through the greenhouses of Epcot. If you've listened to any of our episodes, you've probably heard us mention it. It makes all the episodes, but it is an completely unthrilling attraction, and we love it for that.
Perfect old school Epcot attraction, however.
Edutainment.
And it does offer a behind-the-scenes tour that most other attractions, or nearly all other attractions, do not. And that's the behind-the-scenes tour.
Yes.
And that's available right at the exit of the attraction. It runs about hourly, sometimes a little more if there's a demand for it, and is worth every penny.
Yeah, the actual
it's about
attraction.
$39 now?
I believe it is, yeah. But the actual attraction of Living with the Land is in itself a behind-the-scenes tour. And then you can go a level deeper with that behind-the-scenes tour and go behind the scenes.
Yeah, as a walking tour through the greenhouses.
It's so cool. But yeah, so that is my number 6.
All
Rod,
right,
what is your number 6?
I'll forgive you for now. But my number 6, and this one hurts my heart that it's this far down, Guardians of the Galaxy, wait for it, Mission Breakout at Disney's California Adventure. Or
Nice.
Disney California, there's no apostrophe S. Disney California Adventure. Now, yes, we are Epcot based, and yes, I love Guardians of the Galaxy as a roller coaster with Cosmic Rewind. However, the overlay for Tower of Terror, which is a drop ride at Disney California Adventure with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the 70s and 80s music that is part of that culture, I guess you could call it, makes that in my top 7 worldwide. Now, the reason it's so far down is, like Sue said, there's so many other bangers ahead of it that it hurts my heart it's that low, because I love that attraction. I will not go to California Adventure and not ride that attraction. However, we're about to find out there are at least 5 others ahead of this that we both love even more. So I'm anxious to hear, Sue, what's your number 5?
My number 5, we are going international. And my number 5 is going to be Big Thunder Mountain Railroad in Disneyland Paris.
Ooh, nice choice.
Now, of the roller coasters of Disney, Big Thunder Mountain is my overall favorite.
And we should do a roller coasters of Disney Worldwide episode. I think that's going
that
to
would
have to
be
come up in the
fun.
future. Yeah,
I like
that just
that.
hit me, yeah.
But of all the Big Thunder Mountain railroads, Paris is my favorite.
Is it Big Thunder's Mountain?
Big Thunder Mountains.
Big's Thunder Mountain, yeah.
How do you pluralize that?
That's a good one, yeah.
But yes, that Paris is by far my favorite Big Thunder Mountain. It feels faster somehow. It is on its own island, so it's separated. It's beautiful. You go under the water. You go twisting and turning. It just feels like a more thrilling version of the States versions of Big Thunder Mountains, and I absolutely love it.
I agree. And it was in my top 7, but got bumped out.
Oh,
it is
no,
actually
you're
one of my
kidding.
It's one of my honorable mentions.
I'm very surprised by that.
Yeah, I was too, but when we were limiting it to 7, some things had to drop out that are still part of my love of these Disney parks.
Well, and I mean, like I said, I had it originally a top 19. And any one of those 19 could have been on this list.
That's exactly right. The list is fluid. It has been.
Always.
As a matter of fact, as you just heard me say, if one of them's about to change, and it will.
Well, and honestly, like, we could do episodes like this every single year and have different lists every single year.
Based on what parks we did that year.
Based on what parks we did, based on our moods, based on who knows what. Based on our most recent experience with that attraction.
That is so true. And like in the near future, we have trips planned to Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, and, of course, Epcot. Those will be coming up for us in the near future. And, you know, after we go to one of those parks, this whole list could change so quickly.
It's true.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's so true.
So, Rod, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Living with the Land at Epcot. Sue, what's your number 4? But all right.
Explain.
All right. Mine, it's the same thing you said. Living with the Land is in my heart. It is part of my Epcotianal being, I guess you could say. However, there are 4 other attractions ahead of it that have to be called out as better, in my opinion, overall. Like we said, it's a slow-moving dark ride, or a boat ride, really, through the greenhouses. Both of us will not go to Epcot without riding that attraction, and it is definitely in our top, probably 3 at Epcot.
For sure.
But when we're talking worldwide, it hits number 6 for Sue and number 5 for me. So All
That's
right.
just how it ranks.
I know you weren't going to let me live that down, and so I had to just kind of gloss on past it. Okay.
Nice try.
Sue, what is your number 4?
My number 4 may rankle you a little bit.
Uh-oh.
My number 4 is one of my favorite attractions in the entire world, which is why it made my list. However, it hit at number 4 when I put it all together.
Let me guess. The Treehouse at Magic Kingdom.
Oh.
No.
Spoilers.
No. Oh,
No.
not really? Okay.
The Mark Twain. No.
I love the Mark Twain.
It is not on your list.
It's not on my list. No. None of the big boats are on my list.
Okay. So I went with a smaller boat, and it is Pirates of the Caribbean, Disneyland Paris.
Okay.
Again, we've talked about this in the past in former episodes. All pirates are good pirates. We love Pirates of the Caribbean. Overall, it is my favorite attraction as a genre. I love a boat ride. I love the music. I love the smell. I love the audio animatronics. I love the whole thing.
And we've been on 4 of the 5 pirates. The
We
only
have.
one missing.
We've been on all the classic
All the
pirates.
classic pirates, right. We have not been on Shanghai.
Right. Which is a whole different animal. So.
Yeah.
But Disneyland Paris is my favorite. I enjoy the storytelling of it. It just tells the story better. I enjoy the fact that it goes through Captain Jack's restaurant, like a callback to the Blue Bayou of Disneyland. Disneyland was almost on my list as well until I decided I could only have one version of Pirates.
Right.
But it has the 2 drops like it's supposed to.
And in the right order.
And in the right order. And it has all the elements that you love from the Disneyland version, just done a little bit better.
If you're not familiar with Paris's version, it does tell the story in a little different order. You actually go up the lift right out of the load area, and you end up in a flooded jail scene, at which point you then drop into the battle scene, and after you leave the burning city, it drops again into the caverns.
It makes so much sense. Like, it just puts the story together so well. Andy, I cannot wait for you to write this.
Yes.
All right, Rod, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is back at Disneyland, and it's one of the original Disney. Actually, Walt Disney worked on this one, and it is Alice in Wonderland. I cannot go to Disneyland and not ride Alice. It is my favorite of the dark rides, and it's not my favorite ride at Disneyland, but in this list worldwide, it's unique to Disneyland. Disney, are you listening? You really need to put Toads and Alice in the UK pavilion at Epcot. They already sit on top of each other. Come on, it's
and
perfect.
They're both British.
They're both British. Yes,
Come
they
on.
are, and both Disney classics. But the Alice ride, you ride in a hollowed-out living creature. It's kind of disturbing, but you ride in a caterpillar.
You ride on his
vehicle.
back.
There we go. Now you
Because you see his little feet.
Yeah, but they've hollowed it out
we're
for
not
the lap
thinking
bar.
about that.
Anyway, you do go through what has now become an elevated dark ride, in my opinion, because they've added in a lot of the projection mapping and enhanced, I can't say enhanced animatronics, but enhanced features in the dark ride that have really started appearing in other of the newer or updated dark rides around the world. And Alice is one of my favorite films of all time, so therefore Alice in Wonderland at Disneyland is my number 4.
When Disney updates a ride using current technology, it doesn't always mean it's better. Alice, I feel like, has gotten better with every version of it.
Imagination has not.
Imagination has not. True story.
As we just railed on in our last episode.
Man.
Yeah.
And
anyway.
we'll rail again. We will rail again.
Yes, we will. Sue, what's your number 3?
My number 3. Oh my gosh, we're already in the top 3. Holy moly. All right. So my number 3 is going to be our first repeat, I believe. No, because you had Living with the Land.
Yes.
So this is another repeat. My number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout.
I had a
from
feeling
Disney
it would be
California
much
Adventure.
higher than mine, yeah.
I love that ride. I love Tower of Terror. I love Twilight Zone. I think that was such a fun way to do a drop ride. But when they revamped to Guardians of the Galaxy, it just took it to such a new level.
And it's because of Rocket.
It's mostly because of Rocket, but I mean, all of them get their moment, and even Cosmo's in there.
You're a bad dog.
Do not say that to me.
You are. You're a bad dog.
Take that back. Come on, that's not cool.
It's such, oh my gosh, there are some rides that just make me absolutely giddy from beginning to end, and this is one of them. And this is actually the only one of that type that made my list.
Yeah, because each of the towers has its own unique storyline now.
If you haven't been on it, if you think you don't like drop rides, this is one to give a shot. Just give it a shot because the storytelling is so much fun. The ride vehicles are so fun. Like the way that they do the like suspension while you're at each, which isn't about the vehicle, I guess. It's about the programming. But still, it's just such a
like
different
where it feels
thing.
like it's hovering almost, where it's kind of moving up and down a little bit while you're in the ride sequence. Yeah,
but it's
that's
just
unique
done
to that,
so perfectly.
To that version too. Yeah,
And Rocket stealing the Walkman. I mean,
I
come
love that
on.
in the pre-show. Yeah.
So that is my number 3, and I full-heartedly stand by it. Rod, what's your 3?
Okay. Sue's about... Okay, put that down.
No, I'm going to have a sip
cannot
of my mimosa.
You cannot have this in your hand when... Okay, my number 3, Rise of the Resistance at Disney Hollywood Studios and Disneyland Park in California.
What?
Okay, don't... Okay, stop.
I'm getting
stop,
my lightsaber.
She's choking. Force choking. I
All
hate it
right.
when you do that.
I'll let you explain.
Force is real, folks.
They know.
Pardon me. Explain. Okay. There are 2 attractions above this because of nostalgia factor. As far as overall ride system, ride storytelling, and everything worldwide, Rise of the Resistance is probably at the top of most everybody's list. But because I'm an old fart, I have some nostalgia factors that are going to go with these top 2 that rank them higher than what is probably regarded as the best attraction ever built. Not just Disney, but the best attraction ever built. And Sue's face is turning red because I can see her getting ready to rebut this fact. But
No, I'm just going to have some more mimosa.
Okay. In this list in front of me, it says right here on the page, it's Rise of the Resistance. Now, like Sue said, had we just gotten back from Epcot or from Disneyland in Anaheim, it would probably be number 1. But I'm going to stand by this, and in my top 7, it's number 3. It is multiple attractions. You go through a pre-show that's actually part ride. Then you get interrogated in a cell and feel the force that Kylo Ren tries to suck out of your head. I don't know exactly what's happening there. And
he needs
then
the
there's
information
another
for the
ride.
secret base.
That's what it is, right. And you as Rebel Scum, which is fantastic. I love Rebel
Resistance,
Scum.
technically.
Well, yeah, that's true. Get then to escape a ship in orbit. I mean, come on. I'm not going to give away more of the attraction if you haven't ridden it. Just suffice it to say, it is the best attraction I was going to say in the world, but in the universe.
I would stand by that.
But on my list today, it's number 3.
All right.
All right, here we go.
See.
All right. As she's clenching her teeth, talking to me like this. Okay.
Well, now that you've said that, I don't think my number 2, I thought would be somewhere on your list, and apparently it's not.
Well, let's find out.
So my number 2, we're going to head back overseas, and I'm going to Tokyo, and this is Voyage of Sinbad.
Oh, I love that attraction.
This is my number 2 attraction.
And it's my other honorable mention.
The world.
Yeah.
This is at Tokyo Disney Sea. It's a slow-moving boat ride, which I tend to gravitate towards. I just love those. It tells the story of Sinbad, the journey that he goes on, and it's not based on a Disney film. The animation that they use, the characterization of the animatronics, does not look like your typical Disney animatronic. They don't look like your typical Disney characters. The music is unbelievably gorgeous.
Compass
Even
of
in
your
Japanese,
heart.
where most of it you
Oh.
can't understand, but you can get bits and pieces that are in English. And it's just stunning from beginning to end. And that's not even mentioning Shandu. Because Shandu,
The cutest non-Disney Disney character ever.
oh my gosh, Shandu is a tiny little tiger.
He's adorable.
He's so cute. And he wears a fez, and he hides in a boat full of bananas, and he
He plays the
jumps
drum.
up and down on a drum.
That's the cutest part. Boom.
Oh my
boom,
gosh,
boom.
it's so
So
cute. The whole ride is just done so beautifully. I would love to see this come somewhere to America. I don't even care where at this point.
I checked into it. I looked at the size of the show building, and it would fit behind Morocco.
Which, I mean, I don't know that it's technically a Moroccan story, but it fits with that Middle Eastern feel and vibe for sure. And that would be a lovely location for it.
Oh
I
my
would
gosh.
so support that. But oh my gosh, I absolutely adore this attraction, and my number 2 is Voyage of Sinbad.
When the two of us rode that at Tokyo Disney Sea on that trip, so long ago now, I think we rode it maybe 10 times over the 4
I
days
would say,
we were
yeah.
there. It really is, and it is my other honorable mention. So it's on my list. It just was going to be said at the end. So
Oh no, it deserved a spot way at the top. It's so good.
my number 2 is the classic Spaceship Earth at Epcot.
Very nice.
It's my favorite Epcotian attraction. Definitely in the top 3, like I said, with the Living with the Land. The other probably being Horizons, which is now gone. But, anyway, we won't dig into that one again. It would fit into where the Wonders of Life is. I think I've said that before. But anyway. If
Not
you're
in
listening,
this episode. You haven't said it this episode.
I said it last episode. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, Spaceship Earth is a slow-moving dark ride through a golf ball.
It is not a golf ball.
It is not a golf ball. It's a geodesic sphere. I got it right this time.
Well done. Good job.
And it is the history of communication, but it's the symbol of Epcot. And since we are the Epcotian Adventure, it really had to be in the list towards the top. And there it is, number 2. And it's just one of those attractions, again, that if Sue and I are at Epcot, we're not going to not ride that attraction, probably at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day.
That is a true statement.
Here we go. Sue, what is your number 1?
My number 1 worldwide Disney attraction is Rise of the Resistance.
I kind of knew that.
It had to be. It had to be. Now, as a giant Star Wars nerd, it had to go on my list, of course. But for all the reasons Rod just said about it being so far down on his list, are all the reasons it's number 1 on mine. It's not a ride. It's not an attraction. You are in Star Wars.
Yeah, it really is. If you don't believe Star Wars exists, it does.
And because I do have that nerd factor going on, it literally makes me tear up every single time. When you come out of there, well, I'm not going to give away the very ending, even though I'm sure you can figure out because people do walk out. They don't die in the attraction.
Well, and you can see it on YouTube.
Well,
yeah.
No, don't do that. But I tear up every single time. It's very moving somehow because they managed to put you in the story, I think is the only explanation for that. But it is a glorious, glorious ride, and it is my all-time number 1.
My number 1, and this is only for nostalgia purposes, the factor that I've worked this attraction and got to do guest control for it in Magic Kingdom, is Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland and Disneyland Paris.
Cheating.
No.
Cheating.
It's not cheating.
We just did a whole episode about how they're not the same ride.
They're not the same ride. And we just talked about that actually just 30 seconds ago. Well, probably 3 minutes ago now, but in editing, 3.5 minutes. But anyway, Pirates was my first attraction that I worked back in the 80s at Disneyland. And it was something as a child I was afraid of because of the drops and just the overall loud noise in there. And once I worked it the first day, it became part of me. I still consider myself a pirate. Yar. But, yes, Rise of the Resistance is an amazing attraction. Spaceship Earth is an amazing attraction. All of the ones we've mentioned today are amazing attractions. But for little old me, Pirates is going to always be my number 1 at Disneyland, and my favorite Pirates is the one at Disneyland Paris. So therefore, those two tied for number 1 in my psyche, in my list.
And honestly, you never have to explain having Pirates at the top of your list because it is, without question, a fantastic ride.
My honorable mentions we've already talked about, and that was Thunder Mountain at Paris and Voyage of Sinbad at Tokyo Disney Sea. Both for the reasons, or all for the reasons Sue said before, they're just amazing versions of those attractions, or in the case of Sinbad, just the most amazing non-Disney Disney attraction. The only reason I didn't list it in my top 7 was because I forgot about it.
Which means it shouldn't have been in your top 7, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's true. And that's why I left it as honorable mention, is because of the fact that I do love that attraction, but to me it still seems like it's just outside of the Disney bubble a bit.
That it is.
Because it's not Disney IP. It's original to a Disney park, but again, it's an original to a park that's not owned by Disney.
Right.
I don't discount Tokyo Disney attractions. For heaven's sakes, I mentioned Journey to the Center of the Earth, which follows all that same logic. But there's something about the Journey of the Center of the Earth, to me, technology-wise, that I just love a little bit above Chandu and Sinbad. But Chandu and Sinbad are so amazing in that attraction. That whole attraction just hits on all cylinders, and I wish
Yes.
I had thought about it more when I was putting the list together, but I've left it in the honorable mentions because it's so good.
That's fair. My other honorable mentions were...
And there's 19 of these?
Yes, but I've managed to cut it down to 4.
Okay. All right.
So mine are Kilimanjaro Safaris at Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Definitely worthy.
And again, completely unique to that park. Probably unreplicatable.
I would not
Just based
see
on the
how
scope
you
of
could.
it?
Yeah. I mean, other parks, like Kings Island used to have a monorail through a exhibit like that. Nothing like they can do at Kilimanjaro Safaris at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, not even close. Even like the little Jeep ride through things that you do. It's just the scope of it, the scale of it, the care that they put into these animals is just beyond compare. So that was one. Crush's Coaster at Paris Studios.
Right. Adventure World.
That still hasn't grown on me.
It's coming, though, whether we like it or not.
But that coaster is another one that makes me giggle beginning to end. It is super cute. You ride on a big old turtle shell. It's part dark ride, part spinny coaster, controlled spin. It is just so much fun. It's a good time. And TTC. I had to pick Magic Kingdom People Mover.
Yeah, that's a soft spot in my heart, too. Growing up with the one at Disneyland and not being able to have it anymore, and now having the one at Magic Kingdom still, it's definitely worthy of a mention.
Well, and that's one of ours where we don't go to Magic Kingdom without riding it.
Right, exactly.
So it's obviously a favorite, but then where does it rank compared to the others? You know,
Right.
it's a tough thing. I also didn't put Spaceship Earth on my list.
I noticed that. I was going to
Yeah.
say something, but
Only because this was my reason, because I was trying to be personal about it, like my top 7, because that's only the way to do an honest ranking. But I also tried to be a little bit
Demented?
I tried to be a little bit big picture, a little unbiased, like taking my personal preferences out. And the last time I did a how-to guide for Disney for one of my coworkers, it was for her teenage daughter. And I was like, you know what? There's a
Age-wise.
huge range of people that attraction is not for. It is for me. We absolutely do it at least once every time we go to Epcot. More like 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
if we're going to be honest. But when I went to make my list, it didn't make the list. It is one of my favorite attractions. It is by far, it is definitely top 1 or 2 for Epcot, depending on my mood that day, if it's that one or Living with the Land. So Living with the Land took the spot, and I was hoping that you would put Spaceship Earth on your list.
We did a little bit of a ranking for Epcot attractions back in episode 2. Like our very first actual Let's Talk About Epcot episode. But we haven't done a ranking of Epcot attractions yet.
Not really. We haven't really done a ranking of attractions
Yeah.
in general. So
I see some more episodes coming then. We need to do some top 10 park attractions and top 10 Walt Disney World attractions. We haven't done that. That's so
'Cause
odd.
we do must-dos,
Yes.
which are a lot of attractions, but they also incorporate shows, and they incorporate snacks, and they incorporate experiences. So it would be fun to just do some attractions.
All
ones.
right, well, there you go, folks. There's some new some new episodes coming.
That was a little behind the scenes for you.
Hey.
But Rod, I have to say, I am so surprised that no version of Haunted Mansion made your list.
Haunted Mansion Paris was going to, but I felt it was going to be too Paris heavy. And we're going to have some Paris episodes coming out
We are.
this fall.
Yes, but Phantom Manor, I know, is so far up your list.
It's definitely my favorite mansion attraction, yes. But again, when I was ranking things worldwide, there's so many really high ones there that just pushed it off the list. Because it was on the list. It was number 7 and bounced back and forth with Journey and then with Pirates and Thunder at Paris. Pirates ended up going up to be with number 1 at Disneyland just because I cheated.
Yes.
But,
yes.
hey, we're making the rules, so there you go. But yeah, it is definitely my favorite of the mansion attractions, and I can't wait. This Halloween, we should... maybe we could do a mansion episode for Halloween.
We've talked about it, but we did say we were going to do the next coast.
That's true. We were going to do the Magic Kingdom ghost stories.
Or the ghost stories.
We could mix those, though, because there's going to be ghost stories from mansion. So we'll definitely have to do something on the mansions, because there's a different land for each of the mansions that exist out there in the different parks. Some people even throw in Mystic Manor at Hong Kong, and
As their version of Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, and that's on my list of things here. I've got a little sub list of things that are like on my have to do bucket list favorite attractions.
You know what? That's actually a good question. What's your number one that you think would have made your list but we haven't done yet?
Number 1 is Pirates Shanghai.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, number 2, Mystic Manor, and number 3 is Big Bear Mountain at Mystic Manor, or
nice.
Big Bear Runaway Mine Carts, I think they call it. I call it Big Bear Mountain just because it's a mountain coaster like Thunder Mountain is to me. But those are the 3 top ones in my list, and I can just bang, 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 get those off my head because, yeah, those are...
Nice.
I can't wait.
Mystic Manor's on mine as well, but I also... And Pirates in Shanghai. But I would throw the new Beauty and the Beast attraction in there.
Oh, at Disneyland.
And the new Rapunzel attraction.
Yeah. Oh, both in Tokyo. Disneyland Tokyo has the new attraction in Fantasyland for Beauty and the Beast. And
Fantasy Springs has the new Rapunzel.
Disney Seas, yeah. Oh, cannot wait.
So much still out there to do.
So much to do, so little time.
So little money.
Yeah, that's the other problem. Anyway, what's your top 7? What did we miss? What did we get right? What did we get wrong? Let us know in the comments.
Where did we go completely off the rails?
Not having Rise of the Resistance is number 1, probably. A lot of people are screaming at me going, what?
Lots of people are screaming that you didn't have a Haunted Mansion on your list.
Oh, that's also true. Before we go, we'd like to give a big thank you to Riley Piper, Paul Trett, Joey Humphrey, and Evan Piper for their help and support. Our theme music composer is Jason Patrick Rowan, whose music is licensed through Pond 5. And of course, thank you, Phoenicians.
Thank you, Phoenicians. And don't forget to rate, review, like, and subscribe. It really does help other people find us. You can find us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. The Epcotian Adventure is a $1,000 brunch production and a proud gold member of D23.
Thanks for joining us today for episode 66 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Bye. Oh my gosh, he's a tiny little dragon.
Nope.
He wears a dragon? He has nothing to do with a dragon. What?
He doesn't do the tongue thing.
I have had too much mimosa.
Okay, put the mimosa down.
I have passed the line.